Hello class, we are Team Risky Business and we studied Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The country is located on the east coast of Africa and the city is located centrally within the country. Let's begin with a quick history of Addis Ababa. The formal name for the country is the Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and Addis Ababa is one of the few remaining city-states left in the world. The city was founded in the 19th century by an emperor and his wife. It was invaded by the Italians in World War II, but the British liberated them and returned rule to the Emperor Haile Selassie. The city is known for the vast amount of eucalyptus trees, like the one pictured here in the city center. It was originally positioned closer to Mount Ntoto, pictured here, but was moved so that the city could be closer to a better water supply. And now we'll dive into the economics of Addis Ababa.
Ethiopia's economy has been growing at a rate between 8% and 11% annually for a little more than a decade. The growth has been attributed to an increase in agriculture and service industries. In Ethiopia, all land is owned by the government. Even though there are more people working in agriculture, services have exceeded agriculture as the main source of GDP. Services make up about 46.8% of GDP, while agriculture makes up about 36.2%.
The main religions in Ethiopia are Christianity and Islam, with minority populations of Judaism and paganism. Addis Ababa is a predominantly Christian region, with the majority of Christians being Orthodox Tewahedo Christians. Here we can see the Orthodox Tewahedo Church, located in central Addis Ababa. There are also a minority of Roman Catholic or Protestant Christians in the country. Other than Christianity, about 33% of Ethiopians are Muslim. There are many mosques located throughout the country. Religion is a central part of most people's lives in Ethiopia. Here we can see a typical church in a rural village. The villagers would likely visit the church multiple times a week to pray, and the community of the church would be very close-knit. In Ethiopia, there are 88 individual languages spoken throughout the country. However, the main language used in the majority of regions, including Addis Ababa, is Amrika, a form of Arabic with African influences. One of the largest economic barriers to the country is the high poverty rate in Ethiopia. In 2012, 33% of the population lived below the poverty line. This discourages foreign business and industry from entering the Ethiopian market.
While interviewing Miss Munir Ali, we were able to learn a lot about the daily life in Addis Ababa. Miss Ali was born and lived in Addis Ababa for her whole life until graduating high school. After high school, she left for Iraq to pursue a job opportunity with far better pay. Most employees make very little money in Addis Ababa and are paid only once a month. Miss Ali explained that workdays were much shorter in Addis Ababa and allowed for more time for a life outside of your job. She also said, time-consuming chores like cleaning were never a problem because almost everyone had maids. All meals were cooked at home or very rarely eaten at local restaurants. Coffee ceremonies are a popular daily activity in Addis Ababa. It is common for homes to be open to neighbors and visitors at any time of the day. The host makes coffee for everyone and they visit with each other. Miss Ali mentioned two things that would help citizens living in Addis Ababa tremendously: transportation and housing. Taxis are the main option for transportation, and the lines are always extremely long and often unreliable. She also said that housing in Colombia is much nicer than the common person's condo or apartment in Addis Ababa. In closing, Miss Ali said that despite some of the struggles with living in Addis Ababa, she would love to go back there if she could get her family to move with her.
After speaking with Munir Ali and hearing all the wonderful things she had to say about coffee and the culture of coffee in Ethiopia, our group decided that coffee would be the best product to talk about. According to the Equal Exchange, agricultural activities represent 85% of the employment in Ethiopia and 90% of the foreign exchange earnings, while the World Intellectual Property International website reports that coffee alone makes up 60% of Ethiopia's total export earnings, and that an estimated 15 million Ethiopians work either directly or indirectly in the coffee industry. Here are some statistics that suggest opening a small Ethiopian coffee shop in America could be successful. 40% of 18 to 24-year-olds are drinking coffee every day. That number is up 9% from just 2 years ago. And 54% of adults 25 to 39 reported drinking coffee every day. That's a 10% increase over a 2-year period. Here are some more statistics to prove more specifically why an Ethiopian specialty coffee shop would be successful. The National Coffee Association defines a specialty coffee as a higher quality one, which most Ethiopian plants would qualify for. As you can see, nearly 35% of daily coffee drinkers report that they have at least 1 cup of a specialty coffee. This suggests that more and more Americans are viewing coffee as a treat or indulgence worth spending a little extra for. The foundations of how Ethiopians enjoy coffee versus how Americans enjoy coffee are very different. We feel that the Ethiopian coffee culture is something that a business could recreate to differentiate the overall product and provide a significant competitive advantage. In Ethiopia, coffee is enjoyed at all times of the day in very social settings. Villages have coffee ceremonies where the coffee is essentially made from scratch while people gather around and talk about local happenings, politics, and anything else. The ceremony typically lasts about 2 hours and everybody enjoys about 3 cups. This is an element that I think would interest many Americans. Instead of coffee just being a tool to wake up in the morning, an Ethiopian coffee restaurant could be more of a sit-down, relaxing, communal, social environment. A recent Guardian article from 2015 talks about the few Ethiopian coffee shops currently open in the United States and the trend of many more popping up lately, mostly in big cities. This article featured a couple who opened up shop 3 years ago in New York City, just 2 blocks away from a Starbucks, with about 280 Starbucks across the city, and they were still able to break even in just 6 months. After her experience with an Ethiopian coffee ceremony, author Emily Doyle wrote, "In a world where time has long become a commodity, the Ethiopian coffee ceremony takes us back to a time when value was given to conversation and human relations. Perhaps an ancient proverb best describes the place of coffee in Ethiopian life, Buna Daba Now, which translated means coffee is our bread."